If you love a well-made cognac cocktail and are looking for some overlooked classics to add to your cocktail Rolodex, then today's episode is just for you. Welcome to Cocktail Limelight. I'm your host, Eric Castro, and today we're going to be exploring some cocktails in one of my favorite spirit categories, and that's cognac. So often it seems, when a new cocktail gets created nowadays, cognac gets left out in the cold, which is a damn shame because when you explore some of these old school classic cocktail books, about a third of the recipes all seem to be brandy or cognac. Which is why today we're going to be exploring 3 of my favorite cognac cocktails that I think deserve a little more time in the spotlight. So the first cocktail that we're going to be making today has a very special place in my heart as it was invented right here in sunny San Diego. The drink is called the KEOKE coffee, and it was invented by George Bullington of Bully Steakhouse. After fooling around late one night, Bullington came up with this legendary cocktail as an after-dinner drink. It was initially called George's Coffee and was an instant hit as soon as it was introduced to their discerning clientele. Shortly after, however, one of the kitchen crew, who was Hawaiian, suggested changing the name to the KEOKE coffee, KEOKE being Hawaiian for George. And although the original was served hot, today we're going to be serving ours shaken and served up more along the lines of the taste of the modern cocktail drinker. However, if you prefer it hot, we'll be leaving that version of the recipe in the caption down below as well, so don't you worry your boozy little caffeinated head. Anyways, this drink was really popular when I first started bartending about 20 years ago, and I would work the brunch shifts that none of the other bartenders wanted to work. And I never really minded working those brunch shifts back then. You know, I was a new bartender. Sure, I had to wake up early on a Sunday morning, but I'd be home by 3 o'clock with plenty of money in my pocket. So what's not to love? I mean, besides the whole waking up early on a Sunday morning type of thing. Anyway, enough of my sleeping habits. Let's make one of these drinks. The first ingredient that we're gonna be using is 1 ounce fresh espresso. And remember, the quality of your espresso here is paramount. If you're using bad coffee beans, it doesn't matter how good your cognac is, no spirit's strong enough to save a cocktail from bad coffee. Our second ingredient is a 1/2 ounce of coffee liqueur, followed by a 1/2 ounce of creme de cacao. Either light or dark will work in this case. Next, we're gonna be adding 1 ounce of cognac. And lastly, for a bit of creaminess, we're gonna be doing a 1/2 ounce of heavy cream. And don't use milk here. Heavy cream is the way to go because you really want something to have that extra fattiness to give it a good body to the drink. However, if you're lactose intolerant or don't like cream, something heavy with a high fat content like macadamia milk or cashew milk will work just as well. Now it's time to add some ice and shake everything up. Now let's go ahead and strain this cooling elixir into a chilled coupe. And although this drink is looking tantalizing and delicious and just begging me to take a sip, first I have to garnish it with a little bit of fresh grated cinnamon. Now let's let this cocktail have its day in court. Cocktail's incredible. Everybody, the KEOKE coffee, a San Diego classic. The second cocktail that we're doing today is called the GOODFELLOW. And although it only contains 3 ingredients, don't let that fool you because this cocktail is intensely and deliciously complex. This drink is perfect for folks who normally gravitate towards Old Fashions or Manhattans, and on paper, although it essentially looks like a B&B with bitters or a Monte Carlo made with cognac, it's much greater than the sum of its parts. Which is why I'm here to tell you that this cocktail is a certified banger and perfect for whiskey lovers that are looking to branch out a bit. I first found this recipe in a copy of Trader Vic's Bartender's Guide, which was written in 1947. And over the years, we feature on the menu at Polite Provisions a few times, especially for happy hours, and it's always gone over really well with folks that tried it. If any of you out there like collecting old books and would like to pick up a copy of this, you can still find it online for a pretty reasonable price. However, there's plenty of PDFs out there floating around if that's more your speed. But enough of me talking, let's go ahead and make one. To do that, first we're gonna start out with 2 dashes of Angostura Bitters, followed up with a 1/2 ounce of Benedictine. Lastly, we're gonna be adding 2 ounces of your favorite cognac. Now let's go ahead and add some ice and stir. Now let's go ahead and strain this mixture over the rocks. Or if you're really balling, a big one like this. Now let's go ahead and garnish this with a lemon twist and we'll be ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, the Goodfellow. Herbaceous, rich with flavors of caramel, brown sugar, and baking spice. Honestly, this cocktail is incredible, and I highly recommend that you add it to your cocktail repertoire. Just one more sip. Now this last recipe that we're doing today is called the Flamingo Daisy, and it should be way more popular than it is now. For the most part, it's a largely forgotten vintage recipe that really doesn't get any love. It's super easy to make with easily sourced ingredients, and I feel like it should be going across the bar top at way more cocktail spots. And not only that, but it's guaranteed to please even the pickiest of drinkers, as it's every bit as refreshing as it is simple to make. And not only that, but the drink has a really colorful name that looks absolutely beautiful when it goes out to a table. But enough chatter, let's get to making one. To make a Flamingo Daisy, let's start out with 3/4 ounce lime juice, followed up with 3/4 ounce OJ. By the way, that's an industry term that shortens orange juice, just in case you didn't know. Now to balance out the tartness from the lime, we're gonna be using 3/4 ounce Grenadine. And it wouldn't be a cognac cocktail without a little bit of cognac. So now let's add 2 ounces of cognac. Now let's add a bit of pebble ice or crushed ice, whichever you happen to have, and give it a good shake. Now let's add this mixture into a chilled goblet and top it with more pebbles. And there you have it, folks, the Flamingo Daisy. But before it goes out, let's hit it with a garnish of an orange slice and 3 cherries on a pick. And don't forget the straw, as it's so much easier to drink drinks with crushed ice when you're sipping it through a straw. The Flamingo Daisy, approachable, complex, and delicious. What more could you want from a drink that looks as beautiful and refreshing as this? And just like that, there you have it, 3 amazing and delicious cognac cocktails that deserve way more attention than they get. All classic recipes and all drinks that every bartender should know. So now that we've showcased these 3 cognac cocktails, are there any other cocktail recipes out there that I forgot? Are there any other spirit categories that I should feature on a future episode? If so, leave in the comments below, and who knows, maybe it'll be featured in a future episode of Cocktail Limelight. And with that said, don't forget to muddle that like and subscribe button. And if you'd like to dive even deeper into the world of craft cocktails with me, be sure to check out the Bartender at Large podcast, which I host on iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere else where quality podcasts are found. With that said, thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we will see you again next week.